boys and girls. Hey Digimon, champions of the digital world. Hey Digimon, ultimate friends to the boys and girls. Hey Digimon, champions of the digital world.
Welcome, DigiFans and DigiFriends. Destin Digiman, Ryudo Reaver, signing on to the NCLDOD Solo Partner Project in Digimon Story Time Stranger. And I'm going off script here immediately. That intro was a lot harder to put together than my previous ones. Plutomon's outro, or victory stance, is just so much longer than most other mons. Welcome back to the project. I'm just going to do a very brief update this time, as this run has one hell of a setup process on PS5. This run, you'll get to see why I made this whole process behind the setup as a necessary piece of the format. I have decided to rearrange a couple of the songs for their battles to more align with the game itself. I noticed a few battle musics were off, and I don't have every single music file, so those that can be adjusted will be adjusted here. Also, the Royal Knight Hunt will be coming alongside this and the boss breakdown for the first time post-run. Super excited to get started on that. I also did some back-end altering to my Digivolution lines in this project. Kuwagumon is part of the Plutomon line, not the Lilithmon line. Not sure why I said it was her line, not his. So while the Mon line he was part of was wrong, the result of avoiding Kuwagumon twice remains. I figured using his line made the most sense here, given seeing him at the end of the last run, it just all aligns. Okay, so this run was blind, no trial, and this was also one of my last planned runs on the list. But after a discussion with a fellow Digidestin in the comments of the BL Starmon video, I took a deep look at the line in question. And friends, this is the challenge I wanted. We will get to why soon. The line is Kuwagumon to Dobermon to Cerberusmon, and then finally to Plutomon. Here is the NCLDOD setup rules that I use, and today I'll actually go over them, as this is the most complex run setup I've had yet. I am allowed to choose 2 mons as assistants while I set up my initial mon. My mon may use their learned attachment skills for an additional layer of strategy. The run officially starts after the Kuwagumon fight at the Dimensional Hall, where I delete my assistant mons and I save the game. Disclosure now, my first attempt failed and ended at Raremon. Biggest issue is that Kuwagumon is a glass cannon. Fast and good attack stats, but very little defense. He has no type advantage and can't get one in this fight. Nor does reverse help, as he has no weakness or resistance to Raremon's attacks. Oh yeah, and Kuwagumon's SP isn't all too great either. It's okay, but not great. So every attack Kuwagumon takes is base damage. On an attack-focused mon who has low SP and low defense, there's no way to win. So I will be getting very, very creative in this one. Just to clarify, this is not a digi-defeat, as after doing further experimenting and research, I came up with a strategy and restarted the run outright. This is my toughest trial yet, and I won't consider Kuwagumon out as an impossible phase rookie mon in the rankings just yet. Though, I gotta say, this came with an immense amount of tedium. What is my plan? First off, my assistant mons, Monodramon and Gomamon. Why them? Attachment skills. At level 10, they both learn critical attachment skills that could help me fight this battle against Raremon. Monodramon learns attack charge, a buff that gives me a 30% attack increase for 2 turns. And Gomamon learns guard field, a 10% defense buff that lasts 3 turns. So, how does this help me exactly? Enter the most niche personality skill I have resorted to yet. Counter. But, getting counter is a task. I need to do hardcore personality training. I have to get Kuwagumon to the reckless personality. But doing so from daring is rough, as he is very, very seldomly getting the wisdom option. So, while training to level 10, yes, higher than Chronomon, folks, I begin moving him over to the amicability tree, passing through friendly into opportunistic, and then back up into reckless. I still don't have it by level 10. This setup has already taken an hour and 36 minutes. For reference, the best Mons yet have almost cleared Shinjuku by this point. So yeah, I do something that may be considered controversial, but it's my project, so I'll do what I must to make these runs possible via a PS5. I get to reckless, and I set up a save with the talk action available. Yes, I save scum. Understand that I don't consider this cheating, as since I use my in-game time specifically, this just saves on tedium time during the setup. And my, oh my, is there tedium. I reload this save upwards of 100 to 200 times. I lost count, attempting to get counter now. I get Wisdom Warrior 12 times. I get Steadfast Heart 8 times. I even got Great Embrace, a rare skill in the philosophy tree, twice, but no counter. I go and make a coffee, and it finally happens on my first attempt back. Almost an hour and a half of real-time reloads, but I got it. Remember, this was all set up, and truth is, I don't know if it'll work. But, here we go. Hold on. Here are the NCLDOD rules as usual. Hard difficulty at 3 times speed using a pre-planned Digivolution line. No converting, loading, DigiFarm, or outer dungeons. Aegio, boy, is meat shield, and he can only guard with no other actions on his turn. The goal, as always, is to defeat Chronomon, measuring the metrics for game time, digi defeats, and cumulative level. Now let's get into it. NCLDOD Solo Partner Run number 5, the Plutomon Digivolution line, begins now. Alright, I already went over how Kuwagumon operates, but I will give his breakdown very fast as it goes around here. First off, virus typing. Resistances to ice and wind, which honestly is pretty useless, while being weak to fire and earth. That is not very encouraging. His signature is really good for mobs though. Electric Stun Blast. 25 based AoE null damage. The biggest benefit comes from paralysis at a 20% chance. Groups are a joke after 1 to 2 of these. But he will have to reverse a lot too, as a virus type, this early on in the game. The sewers are simple, so I won't discuss them. But I want to give Hiroko a nod here, in this episode, and make discussion about her as a character, for the theme of this run. Doing these videos, I understand the design of her persona a bit more. She's ambitious, albeit reckless in her approach to build her name, or more so, her channel, Occult Tokyo TV, the name and the viewership. That said, she does have something in common with Aegio. They both love their nap times at the sites of other Mons. I digress. She's a very loyal friend in this game, straightforward, but understanding of Inori, no matter what she chooses to do. She's not afraid to tell her what she feels, but she also stands by her side. She will get more dues later as we go through this video. But let's get to what we all want here. Can Kuwagumon overcome this mobile landfill roadblock with this strategy? Only one way to find out. Let's go. So here's the deal. I tested this fight once before I started recording, just to see if it was even possible or if I was just wasting my time. And I beat him. First try. Of course, once I do start recording, I fail to beat him. I will not be adding a digi defeat here due to this. While the fight is a tightrope, where so much luck is reliant in this battle, I'm counting on the first one. And in turn, I will let you guys see the follow-up winning attempt. Just so you can understand why this even has to be a strategy to begin with, and why it's so up and down. The first couple turns, while a rodent is around, I need to take the time to set up attack charge. And I absolutely need to maintain this buff as much as I can between attack cycles. And why not? Let's just start missing attacks right away. That's nice. But here's where counter comes in. Since Raremon will get multiple attacks in a row, on occasion, the second attack will have a heightened chance of inflicting an additional 80 to 130 damage, while preventing some damage incoming. I do have to take big risks though, as while this is an SP efficient strategy, I do run out. And I have to choose carefully between an HP heal or an SP heal, when I'm able and not diseased, all while maintaining the attack buff. Field can compensate as a turn reset though, so this also needs to be used as frequently as it's available. So yeah, this is a crazy tight and slow fight. This has to be the worst case scenario for a Mon against Raremon, even worse than Caramon. Usually, there's a means of damage mitigation for most Mons. Not here, though. In the end, though, I squeaked this one out after using my last HP capsule. And I don't know if I'll count defeats here in the future or not. This roadblock could potentially be impossible to overcome for some Mons, seeing as how uniquely I had to approach this one. That said, I did have a second plan that I didn't end up needing. Maybe one day in a run, we'll get to explore that prospect. Alright, now we get access to chips and AP. This allows us the use of burst with CP gain buff, alongside attack and HP tier 1. It's nice to be able to get some stats rolling in. Hopefully, with this though, I'll actually be able to get some time to enjoy using Gazimon. I've already built up a nice bond with this Mon through the struggle with him, and I don't think we're out of the woods quite yet. I take a quick look at his attack stat, and it shows promise. Almost 700 this early is nice to see. Problem is, all the bosses that I'll encounter will be virus type, so tops, I can only do 150% damage modification. That's okay. Mobs will be real easy to bring down with an attack stat like that though. As this episode is partially about Hiroko, how about this being an early definition of what Inori means to her? Inori is an emotional wreck after she lost her brother and feels an obligation to help Ku, the monster, the Digimon, as she couldn't protect her brother. This compulsion is stupid and dangerous. Let's be fair here. None of them even know what a Digimon really is, right? Even still, her scolding for her friend is soft and understanding, knowing full well that Inori means well. And while some of her interest is self-serving, in other words, her viewership and brand growth, she genuinely wishes to help Inori find what she's looking for. Boy, sentimental hour comes early in this run. But you know what else does? Dinner. Gazimon blitzes through the sewer section and straight to the cookery. Cyclonemon time. Once again, I take my chance to buff my attack damage with attack charge before Aegio becomes boy. And I do reverse Cyclonemon as Gazimon is weak to fire. Thank you for the free resistance. I brought Burst in this fight to supplement Guazimon's already respectable damage with Wolkenpalm to bring the Brute down even faster. But, due to Guazimon's low base defense, I actually worry about the Excel boosted Bunmawashi. It does around 600 damage consistently, 8 to 900 if he hits critical, and this is really dangerous. And obviously, Boy will be downed here, for what will be the first of I'm sure many naps on this run. I decide to guard when I don't see an opening for attack so that I can reduce damage and get some healing in, and attack when it's safe to do so. Unfortunately, Counter decides not to proc in this fight, but I consider changing it to the more universal perk, Wisdom Warrior. While the CP gain buff would be subtle, it would be nice to just have a set and forget personality skill around that's always just there in the background. And obviously, it isn't too long before Cyclonemon meets his maker. Well, Digimaker. Thinking about it further though, I think I'm going to keep Counter for now. I decide to go get Venom Trap for the Vetamon duo, as well as Strike. Guazimon may need it, but I don't predict that they will be a great threat. Not with Poison, AoE, and Electric Stun Blast, and Strike? This should be fine. But I do a brief save scum before the fight to move my personality closer to Brave with my Bond conversation, and then I head into battle. So yeah, I did bring Venom Trap this time. You would think this would be a good thing, right? It would be, if it actually wanted to hit. Not once, not twice, no, 3 times in a row I miss inflicting the status. This is not as nice a start as I had envisioned. Alright, this is not ideal, but at least I have a cross art. I want to try to force the reverse as early as I can in this fight and focus one of them down. Splitting damage is a bad choice at this point, since Guazimon faces sustain issues as is. Eventually, Poison lands on both, and a burst puts them near reverse status. Boy has his nap, and I do use attack charge when able. On occasion, I have to recover my Crystallize. Or so I'd have you think. But did you know, after reverse, a basic attack is actually higher damage than my skills currently? Strange, but they can crystallize me all they want. It means nothing. One Vetamon falls, then the other. Enough turns have gone by that the poison has done its job. We press on. And I waste 0 time prepping for Blue Greymon. I would like to Digivolve, and only he blocks the way. I throw on my attack attachment, boosting my attack to over 800, and I get tier 1 defense from the perk tree. Now, let's fight. The plan? Just survive. It really is that simple. Nervy has damage covered being a Mega, and I don't have the sustain as a rookie. Being a Glass Cannon, it's been a mixed bag. Pretty bad for the early bosses, but glorious for mob and group clearing this run. Rampage is my only real concern this battle, as I am weak to Earth, but I want to hold out on reversing. Instead, I use attack charge buff to bolster Nervy, making her strike roll do over 2k at times, after the 60% increase. Pretty nice. After seeing the awesome Quake damage, I decide now it's a good time to reverse, and prepare to break him. But fun fact, as cross art effects are impacted by Mon's stats involved, particularly Bond, a single strike just shatters his Rampage. That raw attack stat, it seems it has more than one benefit in this run. Well, he roars at me, I roar at Nervy, she goes berserker mode, blah blah. This becomes a cycle till the final blow. Strike roll for the win. Easy fight. Alright, I do want to Digivolve, but I would rather smash through my side quest first, as the Evolvemon has a fatal flaw in his design. Guazimon is actually the better choice here, especially for the Kitten Trio, Burst and Electric Stun Blast just ruined them. So, I dump my AP, I save my game, and I go to Digivolve. And I really should have looked sooner before saving. I just severely botched myself. I need 620 speed, and I am nowhere near that. I only have 435. What do? I have to press on till I get more AP now. I need to invest in both Speed Agent Tree Perks 1 and 2 to stand a chance of Digivolving. This could end my run if I'm being real with you. Well, alright, just restock at the in-between and send Kuwagumon to meet his Titan Maker, I suppose. Well, I'm gonna spoil this one for you folks. While I gave Kuwagumon a pass with the Raremon incident, I cannot give him one here for a couple reasons. Technically, you always win this fight by default. Game's been out almost a year and I'm only just noticing this now. I guess I've never KO'd here. Either way, I see his damage is so high. 500 per attack, multiple actions. Truth is, knowing that this is an auto-clear fight takes away from the novelty of it. But it is the end of the tutorial in retrospect. Not happy. Just not happy. He takes out the boy just because he can, and while he does like hard focusing Nervy, it only takes him a single cycle to take Kuwagumon down. Nervy attacks afterwards and the fight immediately ends. I will keep him here as a boss, but there's a major asterisk there. But he will stay due to the potential KOs. He earned his bounty here today. I also want to point out, the option I had to finish this fight was just stall. I could basically just stand there endlessly soaking up capsules and guarding his attacks, while Nervy goes on and keeps attacking him for the win. So, I'm not going to redo this fight, we're just going to move on. So, that's one Digi defeat. To be fair, Kuwagumon deserved one from jump, so this is what is. Won't stop me from trucking along. And, as it turns out, getting to the Digi World gives me just enough AP for the 2 speed buffs I need, leaving me 9 speed away from missing the mark. Super tight margin, but bring on the hounds. It's Doberman time. Okay then, this took much longer than usual to get to. 3 hours and 51 minutes. After the adjustment of 1 hour and 40 minutes setup time, 2 hours and 11 minutes is Kuwagumon's time. Brutal, slow, tedious. Mons were easy, bosses were a solid battle. And I would love to say it gets better, but that'll be up for debate. So, Doberman. To be honest, prior to this run, never seen this Mon. There are just so many. It's cool still discovering new Mons after my almost decade and a half away from the franchise. He goes from virus to vaccine typing, and you'd think that's a good thing. But during the champion phase, it's actually not a great thing, as Volcanismon is a natural data type. That fight will be hard. Even Parrotmon is a vaccine type, so that could be tough as well. Weak to fire, steel, and resistant to earth and wind. Again, won't be too helpful, just not built in a friendly way. And his signature, Growl Arm. Excellent move for mobs. Immaculate even. Trivializes everything with Crystallize at a 50% rate. Very nice. The catch, no damage. I want you to understand what this means for me. If I do not have an alternative viable attack attachment skill at any given time, so I can't deal damage, and I have no allies in battle who can do damage, I can't win the fight. Which will ultimately lead to a Digi defeat by my rules. So, for this Mon, Preparation and move selection will be vital, with only the 4 slots available to me. And I have only myself to blame for all this. I asked for a challenge, the game took offense to that, and clearly is making this quite a unique struggle to overcome. Still, I won't complain about his attack stat. 900 at level 1. Very nice. Onwards. And here's a special mini montage for all of you to the classic techno beats of the sprites in the sewers. Do enjoy. Yeah. Not many Mons have crystallized, as I said with Kurosarimon. But you can bet I'll use it when I'm able. Now, for the Ogre Trio. I don't expect a challenge here, so long as I can remove Kuwagumon quickly. He's the only Mon who has an advantage over me elementally. There's always a ton of scripted noise in this fight, but due to my typing as vaccine, this fight's easy. I bring Strike in and use it immediately. I attempt to use Growl Arm, but of course, the effects are blocked. I knew it would be, but I had to. I have to give every signature move some love if I'm able to. HP is easy to manage in this fight, and I just focus Kuwagumon down with Icicle Edge and use my next strike on Hyogumon to start working him down. I do finish Kuwagumon off, and the following turn, Ogremon starts his trolley games early, hitting Dobremon with a pummel whack, decreasing his accuracy. Don't care. Shadow Fang 2, which Dobremon learns naturally at level 5, 10, early in his growth, is the best move to bring the remaining duo down. Sadly though, Nervy takes all the glory in this fight. So the tower is boring when it comes to the climb. Growl Arm is just so good here, nullifying so many potential threats, including the Centaur Mons, who would be a threat to Dobremon being data type. The climb itself is uneventful, but the game finally decides to show some mercy to me for all the pain it's put me through up till now. Not 1 Digijewel, but 2 in random boxes on the climb up. Stocking up for Parrotmon, I'm in a great spot now. Oh, and I get 1 more when I come out of the in-between for a total of 3. That's 150k yen. Thank you, Time Stranger. I really needed this. But I do have a scary moment that could have ended in a KO. I get ambushed by the 2 Tyrannomon, and I am so fortunate that only one of them decided to attack Dobremon. Had both hit me here, that's it. Done. They are data types, and that ambush could have been very, very costly. 150k costly. As is the usual, prep consists of both Parawall and Electric Guard, as I have no resistances in this fight. Both Dobremon and Parrotmon are vaccine types, so this limits my usefulness. Solution? Nervy. I need to hold out in this fight till Marukimon arrives. Dobremon sports really good strength, and learns Shadow Fang too, but that won't be helpful here. Aqua Pressure 2 really is my only real damage source here, and even at best that's mediocre. Fortunately, Nervy's strike roll aligns with my strike cross art, and we're able to break the first Mjolnir Thunder. Things are actually going okay until Parrotmon starts boosting his defense, as this is a counter to any good offense boost Dobremon can push out to assist me. And shortly after that, boy goes for his ordained nap. It was bound to happen. I realize I need to stall till Marukimon arrives, as I need the additional damage output as a collective. I also need another shield to take the heat off Dobremon. And once Marukimon joins, Strike gets a nice boost to break Parrotmon's second Mjolnir Thunder on its own. Before too long, we bring the big bird down and save Central Tower. I go around clearing the side quests in Central and invest my points into Champion Body Boost to give Doberman a little bit more sustain, alongside the last CP gain and special. Spoiler warning, this turns out to be a critical mistake. I should have gone with the reverse cross art, and you'll see why soon enough. I make my way to the factory, and since I can't show off Growlarm in a normal boss setting, why not now? It's great. Most battles are 3v3 if you count the boy here. Growlarm just straight up neutralizes the threats with its 50% crystallize effect. This makes surging through the factory an absolute cakewalk. And the Digijewels from the tower in Central? Yep. With the yen I get, I can afford 10 multi-booster A's, 50 HP capsules, and I also stopped the in-between to grab the attack attachment 2 for the raw attack power. Given the situation, I planned for a long battle with Volcanismon. Unfortunately, his pet snake bars our way to him. Foregoing the boss mechanics here, because I simply do not care for them. I gave up trying to learn them last run, so here we are. But Ultimate Brachiomon is a data type, so I am forced into reverse this round. Phase 1 takes the longest, as I only have physical moves to my disposal. I use my cross art and do some damage, but the Stag Beetle Bros really do a great job here. They get him just barely out of Phase 1 for me. So when I get to use Comet Hammer, I can inflict 1.5 times damage. It would be really nice if Doberman had learned Comet Hammer 2 by this point, but unfortunately, it's not one of his learnable attachments, so I'll have to suffice. On the follow-up turn though, look out. It's no strike, but due to the 2 Beetle Bros bonus boost, Burst does some pretty insane damage here, over 3k, and puts the big snake in KO range. That said, boy's best friend lets him down once more. So close. The following turn, we fell the Cyber Serpent. He wasn't my worry. The next battle is. And so, sadly I do get a KO here. This is why I mentioned not picking up the reverse cross art was a bad thing. It probably would have been the best cross art for this particular scenario. I'll quickly go over the KO fight before we can get into the winning battle. See, everything goes very smooth through phase 1 and 2. Then he calibrates to my weaknesses. Doberman is a glass cannon, and data hands do massive damage to him in return. As such, I just don't have the sustain to deal with Machine Gun Punch, and it absolutely destroys our loyal doggo. The hands are where reverse would have been great. I could have nullified all 4 hands with a single click and grabbed it. Another thing that really messed me up in the first fight was confusion. Because I had to give up a turn to use Panic Recovery, I missed 1 turn due to the effect, and I was unable to maintain my defense buffs, which would have helped me survive an additional couple turns. Going into the winning fight, I'll just skip ahead to the same point where we left off. This time I have Angel Ladder as my AoE. Since Doberman has such a high attack power, I want to leverage that when I can, so taking all hands out at once is advised. I maximize my buffs with multis and decimate the core with a burst. Now, when Machine Gun Punch hits, the damage is heavy, but sustainable, due to the 60% increase to all my stats. I also tossed in the odd evade booster when I could, just to avoid damage outright, taking a page from Kuwagumon's book. When the hands are reversed, they fall quick and his core is completely open to obliteration. Another burst in Shadow Fang 2 cripple his chances. I feel that I can finish this fight in 1 more break cycle, so I stall on the last hand for CP gain so that I can get my cross art back. And when the cross art is loaded, I decide it's time to take this mechanical master down. Volcanismon wasn't hard per se, but I did underestimate just how much damage he would do to Doberman. As this is a blind run, no test run, I would consider this an acceptable KO. Many a Mons have fallen to him in my testing. It's a fun fight, but always challenging. Anyone remember my recording error in the last run, where I lost out on 50k yen? Well, the game decides now it's time to give it back, while I'm cleaning up the side quests actually. This is Digijewel number 4 in this run so far. RNG must be having a lot of pity for me and the pup. I may hold on to this one though. Having reserve yen is just good business. Also, I was going to change my personality skill, but seeing as how I've never carried counter through an entire run, that's it. I'm committed. I'm going to see this run through with it, good or bad. It does have good moments here and there, especially as bosses get multiple turns. And it activating based on current HP value, it's both a good damage nullifier and inflictor. So just gotta hope for the best with it. I do hesitate slightly on digivolving here. While I know it's beneficial in almost every way, Dobermon's Digiride has been so nice. Amazing speed and vaccine typing should be enough to carry me through Sharkmon, should I choose. But then I remember, Cerberusmon is a vaccine type. What the hell am I waiting for? I do an AP dump to get ultimate body boost and XP gain, alongside a bunch of other base stats in the Valor tree. Alright, let's kick it up. So, Dobermon clocks in with a final time of 6 hours and 38 minutes. Adjusted, this is 4 hours and 58 minutes. Under a 5-hour time span. From a time perspective, that is really good. I would attribute that primarily to his base offense. He was able to clear many mobs effortlessly. But, y'all want an upgrade, right? Say hello to Cerberusmon. Full disclosure, this Mon lines up to be incredible moving forward. Vaccine typing with even more attack base. Solid. Weak to wind and ice, which admittedly is a bit scary. But triple resistances in fire, earth, and dark. What a combination of resistances considering the bosses to come. But welcome to our first real example of breaking tradition around here. Cerberusmon actually has 2 forms. Tri-headed doggo mode and his werewolf mode, more resembling that of humanoid mon. This leads into his signatures. Due to his mode change, he gets 2 signature moves. Mad Dog Fire, which is used when he's in his base mode, is a dark physical AoE attack with 45 base attack damage. And it has a 20% chance to crystallize with bonus damage to beasts. This is very nice. But even better than that is Inferno Divide, which switches him to his werewolf mode. A single target, dark physical attack with 85 base attack damage. And the ability to nullify negative compatibility. Datamons may do a lot of damage to me in heavy amounts, but they can't resist this move naturally. Just fantastic. No naps here in the Abyss today. Not at the Gauntlet either. So, I can't say I like Shark Boy's odds here. He's outmatched in every way. Let's get our haul, shall we? I bring Burst into this fight because of the Divermon. I do have to reverse them, since Strike Fishing is a very strong attack, and I don't feel like eating that damage today. The Divermon try to lower my stats while they're up, but a multi-booster completely nullifies it while boosting my attack. Mad Dog Fire is just nuts here, doing over 2k to each of the Divermon in this fight. Solid option. I get a Crystallize on them too. Never seen their sprite, but like most, I just love it. As it goes, the Divermon go down in only 3 turns. Once his small fry are gone, I start pumping Sharkmon with Nano Machine Break, Unfortunately, our boy is put down for a nap, but like usual, due to the power spike, there's nothing he can do that matters now. Once again, he's a joke on his own. I go to end this fight with Inferno Divide, but miss. This works out though, as I get the extra strikes, weakening him into the KO range. My allies don't get the job done, so I followed up with the second Inferno Divide to flounder this fish. One thing I will address now, it is cool but challenging to find a way to incorporate both victory stances here, as Cerberusmon is a great AoE, so mobs, they go down fast, and I get the clips for his doggo mode, while werewolf mode is great for a number of bosses. I do want to give both a chance to shine here as I can, since I really like both of their victory stances. I don't think there will be a struggle for a while. Cerberusmon put on a fine display of his potential in the Abyss. I clean up the side quests and I head over to Gear Forest. Cerberusmon just absolutely shreds the Woodmon and the Flymon here. Even the Tentomon and Kabuterimon are effortless. I do ignore fights with data types though, as I want to maintain the pace this mon is on. Despite how hellish the beginning of this run was, Ultimate Phase does have the potential to make up for that. Even though Cerberusmon has natural resistance to Dark, I still grab the Dark Guard, since the ability to nullify incoming damage where possible is always preferred in a solo mon run. The less you take in, the more you can dish out. Simple. Before long, we make it to the Great Oak Guardian, Cherrymon. Prior to the battle, I did an AP dump, specifically to get the EXP bonuses in the agent tree. I feel since we'll be in Ultimate Phase for some time, the investment will pay off in the long term. As for the Oakwood, he does get to inflict deadly poison to me with this. As for the Oakwood, he does get the chance to inflict deadly poison to me in this fight with Cherry Bomb, but it's no big deal. His damage is non-existent, so healing it with poison recoveries is very simple. Inferno Divide is insane here. It does 1/4 of his life per attack, per turn. As you would expect, this fight does not last long. Boy has been surprisingly active so far this run. Few naps. But I guess with a loyal sidekick beside him, one who can burn through mobs and bosses, it really shouldn't be that big a shock. Let's just get into a Kuwagumon, shall we? You want your Digiman tradition, folks? Yes, I forgot to switch to Strike. And this time this actually causes me to back off a bit, as we have the Deranged Flower from runs past now in this battle. Taking out the mobs actually puts me at a disadvantage that I need to rectify. Reverse does rectify this, but a Kuwagumon is insulted by this and naps our lad real quick. So much for staying awake a lot this run. Guess I spoke a bit too soon. I accidentally take down the Sunflower, rather than focusing on the boss, as my cursor was there due to Reverse, the previous turn. And on the following turn, I get back to the boss bashing, till he reverses, so, in turn, I do so myself. But now the Snymon who arrived actually does decent damage to me due to this. Doesn't matter. Tunnel in. A final Inferno Divide and the ringleader of the pack is felled. As always, I go around and I clean up the side quests. During the fight with Greymon though, Inferno Divide doesn't get the KO. But Big Bro Bearmon gets the win. This is a line that I think will be fun considering he falls under the Leomon line. And I have him specifically under the Leomon line for ranking purposes. That run does look promising based on my preliminary checks. I don't think it'll be a perfect run by any measure, but it is one that I want to do in the near future. We head off to the besieged Guardian Temple, where the Trio Ugly awaits our arrival. Alright, I have 0 worries in this fight. Type advantage, check. Good AoE, check. Boosters in stock, check. Adequate healing, check and check. And just look at my HP. Just under 6k due to the Brave-based Agent Perk specialization. So I'm never in any danger, at all. And I'm pumping out obscene amounts of damage when buffed. This is a 4-minute fight. Even Aegio gets to watch this one to the end despite the fact that they get double actions. When I talk about everything going right, boy howdy does it ever. They don't last long. I decide to finish this one with a Mad Dog Fire to give our mutt his moment in the spotlight. This is just a seismic shift. The start of this run was easily the most difficult start to date. Champion was okay, but was flawed. I'm not seeing many flaws with Cerberus Mon so far. He's perfectly suited for everything we've come across yet. Then it hits me. I'm gonna have to contend with Plutomon later. If you've spent any time around the channel, you will know that he is a very, very dangerous boss if you have a wind weakness, since there's no way to minimize it. In time, though. Nishi Shinjuku is upon us. Almost the halfway point. I do take my time here and encounter a few battles here for the extra levels pre-Titamon 2.0. I also wanted to get some bonus footage, as I think the background to post-battle scenes here are pretty cool. I'm not worried about him, though. I think this will be a very fast showdown, with very few complications. Alright, so I come into this fight only concerned about his time-stop Senjin. I also have Dark Card on to give me immunity to Titamon's Phase 2. And given I'm naturally resistant to Earth and Virus, Skullbaluchimon doesn't have much that threatens Cerberusmon. So let's discuss this. How does our local boy go down today? Sadly, it is boring, as Titamon gets up close and personal with his blade, just a standard attack this time. Not much to say in Phase 1. He does try to put Cerberusmon to sleep with Idle Bubble, but I don't forget Multiwall here. Saint's Knuckle 2 just devastates his doggo in this dogfight, and we move on to Titamon himself. So, I actively want to draw out his time-stop Senjin. The sooner he uses it, the better for me, given my many advantages. And he does, quickly this time. It leaves Cerberusmon with only 622 HP, but he follows it up with a Soul Fear, which I have immunity to. Even if he had just used attack, I don't think his base attack would have been enough to get the KO here. Like always, after this sequence, I heal up and I drop the EM device at my first possible chance to cancel his next time freeze. And now there's really nothing he could do. I'm pumping out great damage here with Saint's Knuckle turn by turn. I really think this could qualify as my easiest Titamon fight yet. He just had nothing. Nothing. Even his normal Senjin, while fully boosted, can't stop me. I use Inferno Divide to mode change and weaken his break gauge, but I can't take it out. A very short time later, and he tries to use it again. This time, Inferno Divide does get the break. 2 more Saint's Knuckles, and we're done here. I normally skip all the cutscenes in this section, as there are just so many that would bloat the runtime, and these runs aren't about the story, per se. I don't want that. You don't want that. However, this episode is about 2 things: the Plutomon line and Hiroko. After 8 years of Inori missing, she breaks down seeing her, and rightfully so. Put yourself in her shoes for just a moment. If you had a best friend disappear, straight up, just gone, no traces, no consolation, and no solace. Just pain. Only for them to return out of the blue one day, years later down the line. How would it impact you? Inori's dad even gives her the house to watch over, holding out a hope that one day his daughter will return. While that arc with Inori's dad doesn't necessarily end up the greatest, it is nice that Hiroko maintained the mantle and held down the fort for all of them. Moving on from that. I do my restock in Central, and with my good luck and fortune this run, I can hold some of my money back for a critical investment later on. Item RNG definitely plays a factor into the difficulty a Mon has, and given how reliant your Mon is on the agent, especially in the early game, it's nice having some extra money in the pocket. I come in prepped for this. Multi-wall so I don't get immobilized. And instead of burning boosters, I decide to bring back attack charge into my mix for this battle. Considering Skull Seedramon's whole gimmick revolves around alternating shields and waiting for his core to open, this gives me a means to buy time while buffing till his guard is down. Even when it is though, his bony exterior is just so strong that even a 60% boosted attack is only doing 700 damage tops. Luckily, extra strikes kick in often in this fight, helping chip him down. Boy is put down and we move on to the break phase of the battle. I don't have enough to get the break on the first cycle, but that's fine by me. I just need to stall out till I get another chance. Maintaining HP is easy in this battle, even when he hard focuses Cerberusmon. The next break comes and goes. I do have to wait for his shield to come down to finish the job, but finish it we do, with a final Wind Claw and an extra strike. So Skull Seedramon was easy. But I did not foresee this next battle being a tough one. This battle right here is a perfect example as to why I consider Chronomon a full-on boss. And you know what? I said I'm not going to give her a UI. Yeah, she earns her keep today. I'm getting her one. Like always, the first rain stream puts our boy down here. But look at the damage I take. Almost 1,000 per rain stream. She can do this twice per cycle. And I can only heal a tops of 1,500 per turn, since I didn't bring X heal into this fight. Oh, and I took off multi-wall, meaning poison, it's inevitable. Yep, I got overconfident. This is bad. I do have means of dealing damage, but I am just soaking up far too much damage in exchange. I get brought down to muster range at 1700 HP here, and now I regret not having the Aqua Guard on. I thought her damage would be lower, and now I'm paying the piper. But just when things are starting to look real bleak, Venusmon shows us her love and gives Cerberusmon a hefty 2k heal, just in time for the next combo of rain streams. And the following turn she does this again. This assist gives me just enough power to break this boss down. That was intense. Yep, she's making the boss breakdown this time. Okay, so Aquaguard and Multi-Wall are on here. Learned from the last fight what not to do against Chronomon or Calmaramon. Her free typing is more dangerous than I had initially assumed due to my low defense, so it's time to take some defensive liberties. And of course, the first thing she does is nap our loyal lad. He doesn't even get a chance to react. Guess he was distracted by the beauty of the waters above. I know I won't be able to break her first Titanic charge as I brought Burst over Strike. Where have we heard this before, eh? I just start focusing on her core, dealing as much damage as I can while she's charging, while bracing for impact with defense buffs. Venusmon continues her healthy dose of lovin' during this battle and starts spamming her recovery for me, taking that burden off my back. Cerberusmon just burns through Calamaramon's HP with Nano Machine Break. I can't break her next charge, but Neptunemon can. This opens the door to a climactic finish with one last Inferno Divide. Or not. This is what happens when I try to get too cheeky with my finishes. You would think I would have learned by now. So Neptunemon, he takes all the glory. We make our way into Gear Forest and just mop up. The mobs here, by this point in the game, are just a time sink. But I do need the experience. So I do take some time grinding here during the favorable fights. Aegio doesn't go down here in the forest this time. Boy's best friend is starting to live up to his reputation here. But no time for a break. We enter the Witch's Dream Realm and engage with Witchmon herself. So I make an unusual call here. While I like my bonus raw stats on Cerberusmon, I opt for the known bug in this fight. The reason? Balaluna Gale. It is a wind-based move, which I have a weakness to. That said, I'm going to reverse, but if I can break it, that will be a big benefit. Since she is a data type, this is the rational choice to save me a turn. Pairing this with multi-wall to block sleep works well, but Aegio gets washed away here, as always. Inferno Divide doesn't have the damage range to break her, but the good fortune continues as lucky strikes kick in and I do just enough to solidify the cancel on her special. Now there's nothing she could do. Her only shot was her signature, and it was prevented. She does attempt Balaluna Gale again, but it doesn't matter. One more Inferno Divide and we are done. This goes extremely fast, but I find it weird that she didn't even attempt to use Attack to Reflect in this fight. Usually she does. Oh well, moving on. I don't fear Tyrant Kabuterimon. I resist fire, I'm a vaccine type, and I even bring Plant Guard in for the first time in these runs to reduce his Needle Plant and Crescent Leaf abilities. The only thing that'll hurt me in this fight is Shine of Bedtime. And even when he gets a chance to use it, it deals about 1/3, just under of my max HP. This gets healed off so easily and we just chip turn after turn. And since I actually don't have much to say in this battle that's of consequence, I do like the tandem of Bacchusmon and Cyrusmon. Reversal of the Dead, followed up by Mediation to cleanse the negative side effects, it just shows how close those two really are, to the point where even their moves complement one another. I do love the dynamic of those two. I noticed Tyrant Kabuterimon do his Mega Buff, which often means Shine of B is coming, so I just guard up, tank the hit, and return fire the next sequence. But Cyrusmon confused him, affecting his AI, so he doesn't even get an opportunity to use it. One last Aqua Pressure 3, and this one is over. That's another easy boss. While doing the side quests in Gear Forest, Aegio decides under the shade of the forest trees is a nice place for a nap. War Growlmon, who I don't think I've ever mentioned in any of the runs up till now, Atomic blasts him back to Witchmon's realm. Incredible teamwork on display here. It's like she foresaw the outcome. Anyways, I then get a chance to do a second chip collection around Shinjuku in the modern day. I need to gear up for what will likely be the hardest battle since Raremon. But first, we have to get to it. Boy does struggle a little bit here, taking 2 naps en route. The first one comes to Chromon with Savage Emperor. This is then followed up by a beautiful star shower from Haley Storm. Now, I go to face fear itself in this run. Grappleomon time. Well, I forget Venom Trap. And surprisingly, this is a fight that I need it pretty desperately. I brought Known Bug thinking if I just reduced wind, instead of taking full damage from it, things would be fine. I could not be more wrong. See, things are okay, manageable at first. But the moment Aegio goes down, this fight gets sent into a death spiral. I can heal about 1500 HP per turn. And I have to heal every turn. On a good turn, Grapleomon can pump out almost 3k of damage. In turn, this means his King of Fist, it debuffs my defense. The defense buffs will stack up over the rounds. But I also lose my buffs that I had since I can't maintain the multis. So while his damage goes up, mine goes down. I have over 900 HP left after his combo. And then the GOAT appears in my moment of need. And I'm sure we all forgot about it. Counter. I nullify and counter his attack. For reference, at a 60% debuff to my defense, that follow-up attack is a KO blow, folks. I would have lost. I use my first med spray and guard to reevaluate my position. I decide that I am not losing this fight after that. And I burn DX med spray and a stat recovery the following couple turns and go full feral mutt. Just to be safe, nearing the fight's end, I burn one more med spray and go for the KO with a nano machine break. That was lucky, terrifying, painful. Any adjective or verbiage you could think of that is remotely scary, it was. Remember, 2 KOs currently due to the early game. No Mon yet has had 3. And this was inches too close to bursting that ceiling. In any case, 2 things at this point. 1. During this scene in particular, the Beat Break trailer is on in the background. And I find that such a nice little detail as the anime and the game dropped basically hand in hand. Fantastic marketing strategy. Kudos, Bandai. Simple and effective if you ask me. But more importantly, this moment here to me is the culmination of Hiroko and Inori's friendship. The efforts and lengths that Hiroko would have gone to help Inori, it can't be put into words, at least not for me, not the way I want to. Even having her anime, her dreams, include her friend in some way. And being fortunate enough to be able to show her after she thought she was long gone. I've lived a hermit-esque lifestyle personally, family excluded. And while I have a wonderful wife and 2 great boys, I can't relate to the friend aspect. I kind of envy it, despite it being fictional. Alright, shake it off. Now, back to the run. That dedication of friendship leads to Grapleomon absolutely getting blasted by Calusmon. So let's hit the rewind button and put that moment with Hiroko on the back burner for now. Prepare yourselves for another nap montage. Enjoy. Well, that went about as good as ever. But I gotta hand it to the Terrier twins. Terrier Tornado couldn't get the lad to sleep, so Lopmon follows it up. Teamwork makes the dream work after all. Alright, let's take on the champion of Paradise Coliseum, Calusmon. So I stopped at the in-between prior to this fight to grab Wilkenpalm. Between that and Nano Machine Break, damage is a non-issue. I got plenty of that. Boy gets the Grapleomon treatment though and goes down round 1. C'est la vie. I do worry about Deep Forest here a bit, but given he can only do 0.5 times damage against me, even that isn't too worrying. I do decide to endure my defenses and buff them up as much as possible through the fight though, above any other stat. I want to use that to counter the many attack buffs Calusmon receives throughout the battle. He does attempt to go for Rodeo Bullet, but Cerberusmon with such a high attack stat, I break him in just 2 cycles without my cross art, which is pretty cool. Naturally, a small assist goes out to Grapleomon with his own Nano Machine Break. Again, my bond with Cerberusmon shines, getting multiple extra strikes in during this fight, bringing the brute down even faster. Marsmon just speeds this whole process along. And before we know it, one last Woken Palm 2 ends it. Smooth as it gets. I want to move this along, but I can't. Because Marsmon gives our boy an unexpected nap. I think if instead of digivolving him, I may just allow attachments on Aegio. This will give me a couple tactical options to give him survivability. Kind of. And it's just another minor bonus to the project. I think this is a better compromise than boosting base stats up here via Digivolution, as the nap counter needs to count. It's here for a reason, and it keeps these runs fun for me. It's a bit slower than usual moving through Central Town Digiwar. The vaccine typing actually isn't great here for the gauntlet against the Mons who blocked the way. It is great for the upcoming boss though. And nope, not dealing with the chaos of today. Multi-wall goes on. Venomiotismon time. So this fight is literally only 2 minutes long, so I'm going to play it out in the background here while I discuss something else. 90% of the threat in this fight for Cerberusmon is status based, and with multi-wall, he doesn't have to worry at all there. Marukimon tends to take a ton of the damage for me in this fight for most battles, and it's this situation that makes me rethink the general use of multi-wall in these runs. But at the same time, it is fundamental to these solo runs. So to spice things up a little bit, I may start using more specific walls for specific battles, just to keep it fresh. I won't outright ban multi-wall's use, but if I can minimalize it going forward so it's not in every battle, then that would make things less cut and dry. Anyways, as you can see, this fight is a snap. Cerberusmon is just too good. But his time is drawing to an end. I'm gonna miss using this mutt. But one last fight remains. I go clean up the last side quests of the run, so here is your friendly neighborhood turd, folks, per tradition. I try to make each of these runs a journey, as I know how long these runs are, and most people won't have time to sit and watch roughly 2 hours of content at a time. But it is such a ride every run. The bond I build with these Mons in their individual sections, it's the crux of Digimon, the bond between their partners beyond time and worlds. I do what I can to relay that bond to all of you who take the time to watch these. So, for one last time, me and Cerberusmon engage in combat. And isn't it ironic that we are to face our final trial against that which we aspire to become? Okay, it's not quite what we want to be, but it's as close as we're going to get. Because this battle, it's a DPS race. And vaccine Mons with high attack always have a huge advantage over other Mons in this section, in this fight. And we meet that criteria. I'm not even fully buffed up, and Saint's Knuckle 2 is doing over 2000 HP damage. Almost 3k at max. This just tears his HP asunder. And as for his break phase, yeah, the game can bug out all it wants and take away the HP gauge, break gauge, all that. Tidal Stream shatters his orbs. He can't do near enough to me to even be a threat. What an imposter. This is the guy who leads the Titans. Pathetic. But, as it goes, a new dog is town, rising to the top in record time. It's time that we take one last look at our best boy. Cerberusmon, I think, maybe next to Taumon in my trials, was one of the most fun experiences I've had in Time Stranger. Between his mode change, his options, versatility, resistances, he was the total package. But now, we get to say hello to the star of this run. Enter Plutomon. and clocking in at an exceptionally impressive time of 11 hours and 41. So adjusted, 10 hours on the dot. 10 hours, 1 minute. But details. I won't get too far ahead of myself, but currently Plutomon's line could outpace even our fastest Mons yet. This is going to be a tight race. So, Plutomon breakdown. We're back to the virus category, so we lose that advantage. But I don't think that'll be a huge issue. Beal Starmon proved virus types can actually perform pretty well in the endgame. Weak to lightning and double weak to light. That could be a bit of an issue. However, resistance to ice and immunity to dark. Immune. Can you guess what that means? I'll let you guys think that one over for a bit. Let it stew. But on to the signatures. Hell's Gate is a slightly upgraded Inferno Divide, with the ability to lower enemy defenses. But that won't matter too much. It is great for holy mobs though. So while this may not help right now in this portion of the run, I could see it being a huge benefit come the Royal Night Hunt. Haggard Cluster is a solid AoE though. 55 base power is on the high end, but it's dark type, so while it will be great for mobs and clearing them out, it's not as effective against the last surge of bosses. It does have a 20% chance to crystallize still, so I'll still get to see some of the sprites that I won't get to most of the time. And since I got another Digijewel in Dark Field, I use that yen to restock a few items before heading over to the lab. I don't expect it to be too tough though, despite the typing. But hey, why not let you see for yourself? As it goes, here is his potential. And it's encouraging. Now, let's put Plutomon to the test, up against Kuga's experimental warsuit. I throw on Parawall here since the only threat is paralysis, and I use the blue steel fragment to boost my damage. I do forget that Pulse Gun is an electric based move though, so when he uses it on me, it actually does half decent damage, but nothing too serious. After a couple of multi-boosters, Plutomon is dishing out over 2k, with Hell's Gate every round. That is really solid in this battle. And after a burst in Hell's Gate, Kuga is forced into desperation. He uses Advanced Grenade Launcher, and it actually does a sad amount of damage. Once again though, I get humbled by my own hubris. I attempt to end the fight with Haggard Cluster, and I just miss the damage range. When of course, from out of left field comes a fireball from the heavens with Kuga's name on it. Volcanismon, who, may I remind you, added to my KO counter this run, goes and steals the credit. My love for this Mon is quickly fading the last couple runs, I'm not gonna lie. And with that, there's only a couple more souls to save in the Olympus 12. I cruise through the Flame Cosmic, training along the way as Haggard Cluster is a great cleanup quick move here. And when I get to the Frost Cosmic, what do I obtain? Yeah, what do the RNG gods want out of me? There is always a catch. And with this much luck this run, I expect my next run will be cursed. 7 Digijewels in this run alone. 7. That is absurdly good RNG. Apollomon has me a little bit concerned, but I don't think this fight will be too hard. More slow than anything else. I will be in reverse, so I'll be immune to his Saint's Knuckle at least. Why talk about this here? Let's just get going. Did I say this fight was going to be slow? I was wrong. I noticed pre-fight that I had picked up Woken Palm 3. So there's my damage source in reverse, capping out at 400% damage. Over 3,000 per hit when my attack is maxed out. For all that good though, I do make a minor mistake. Nothing critical. But I reverse him and not myself. So when I go to break his orb later, it still has the type advantage over Plutomon. So Hell's Gate can't get the break. Time to bask. Even though I'm not worried about it due to resistance of typing, I still guard. Like I say all the time around here, better safe than stupid. Overall though, healing isn't too hard. At most, Apollomon can only deal 2,500 HP in a single turn. And he really has to optimize his attacks to even pump that much out. Though this fight is a little bit lengthy, it's not a hard one. Woken Palm pulls us through this one. And like BL Starmon, Dianamon should be a cakewalk. Like the last run, Plutomon has every natural advantage against Dianamon. From typing, to resistances, to damage sources, she has absolutely nothing on Plutomon. She wants to pump out Arrow of Artemis early in this fight, but I don't. And being the new ruler of the Titans, I say a big hell no to that. Hell's Gate likely could have crushed her gauge alone, but I hate wasting a cross art. If I can use it, I will. Ah, here. Better proof for you that Hell's Gate is the way. Another attempted signature, another blocked signature. See? Easy. And this time, I actually get the opportunity to use Haggard Cluster to finish the fight. Less than 4 minutes. Virus types just have the Moon Sister's number. I now decide to make a stop at the factory and grab the Union Guard Light and Dark for Junomon. And I didn't necessarily need both, since you can absorb HP. You know what? You should be able to absorb damage if your resistance is 2.5, just saying. But I just want it as a sort of safety blanket. I get to the temple and I clear the temple in 8 minutes. I even 2-round Clavis Angemon with Saint's Knuckle 3 and Known Bug, while being immune to light. Advantage Titan King. But this fight is often terrible. Strangely though, and I hope I'm not being misled, I have confidence here. I obviously need multi-wall in this fight as I have no items for a good bulk of it. And I have Union Guard to limit her Shine Burst damage to 150%. I open up the fight with a heal cross art. With Dark Immunity, Sustain should be so much more manageable than some other runs. I do boost early before the temple begins to cripple my combat capabilities, and dish out as much damage as I can. Overheal is a very nice buffer alongside the heavy resistance. I do want a breaker, but I just don't have the output. I forget something though. Chain Lash is a dark base move. Yep, it can do no damage to Plutomon. This is just incredible. By the time I need the next heal cross art, this fight is already almost over. And it is so rare that this fight is legitimately easy. Plutomon is just having a grand old time slapping his rival around though. And I mean, there's not much you could do about the actual speed of the fight. It's gonna be pretty slow. But it's never dangerous. I just play it slow and steady until a final Saint's Knuckle knocks the evil out of the fallen heretic. Man, that was shockingly easy. And this is also another indicator that the 7 Demon Lords should be easy as well. Majority of their signatures are dark based, so having immunity opens up a path to where I can just push for damage. So folks, this long run is coming to an end. The final gauntlet. Let's rock.
You
Before we even get into the fights here with the 7 Demon Lords though, I have to point out, it is very strange having Plutomon, story Plutomon, talking to the agent at this point in the run. It's almost as if I'm talking to my own Mon. Such a strange circumstance to encounter. Either way, I sell off what I need to and do my final restock. And due to all those Digigems that were in the temple and all the jewels that I've collected through the run, man, I have loads of yen. Too much even. Anyone out there need some? We could do a file transfer. Obviously, I'm just pulling your chains out there, folks. But yeah, I doubt I'll ever get a run this good when it comes to cash flow. 8 Digijewels, as I got 1 in the temple as well. That's just ludicrous. Alright, time to get on with the records. And first up, Barbamon. With this fight, I actually have to consider the mobs on the field, as Barbamon himself is a minimal threat, for the moment. But Skullgreymon can actually do some decent damage to Plutomon here. There are so many chances in this battle for my allies to soak up the damage, which does help. But, with the bolstered attack, I deal immense damage to Barbamon. As he always does around 50% HP, he tries to play the reverse game. But I have had enough of this. I just heal and I'm willing to tank the damage he throws my way. I go offensive with Hell's Gate. Oddly enough though, Barbamon doesn't attack Plutomon at all. Nope. Instead, he uses Death Lure on Geckomon and Ogremon. This leaves the door wide open for a follow-up Hell's Gate to bring the old Mon down. This whole fight is inspiring. I smell a flawless rush in the air. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. The creepy one cometh. I try to protect Aegio in the pre-fight to the boss, but that's just not happening. So, add another nap to the tally, editing me. So, Creepymon. I normally don't worry too much here, and nothing changes this time. Lunatic Gate is the only real threat in this fight, as Time Unlimited can do 0 damage to Plutomon. That said, with triple actions in play this fight, this means that the Millennium Mon can inflict up to 6 Lunatic Gates per turn. I need to focus them. I focus bolstering stats over healing, which does work out, but it's still risky. And with 1 Millennium Mon left, and the creepy one using his Flame Inferno frequently now, damage does stack up a little bit. Before long though, I do take down the second Millennium Mon, and it's just Creepymon. While he does tend to focus me, alone he can only do about 3,000 damage per turn tops, if I'm the target, or if he's using Flame Inferno repeatedly. Needless to say, I can manage that HP with my HP capsules. We put him down with a Saint's Knuckle, and we trudge onwards. And boy does not get to have his nap to the Cerberusmon today, as with a combination of Known Bug, Haggard Cluster, and First Strike, they just get 2-turn comboed. Free XP too. I'll take every little bit of it here. Eventually, the queen around these parts catches wind that I just so happen to be a little less than nice to her mutts. And she decides to pay a visit. Lilithmon is up next. Yeah, Lilithmon isn't a problem. She seldom ever is a problem. Her mutts, though, complicate the sequence here. I could reverse myself. In theory, this is a good thing as this opens up a solid AoE option. The problem with that is Phantom Pain. If she hits me with a double-powered signature and inflicts injury on me, that could result in a KO, given the fact that I can only choose to heal or heal the status in a single turn. So, I opt for my safer strat and just reverse the Cerberusmon one at a time. Yes, this takes away my allies' damage, but I can deal with that trade-off. Rosemon even offers up X-Aura in this fight. I don't think I've ever seen her use that up until now. I knew she learned it, but I love seeing firsts in these runs. I shoot right through Lilithmon, knowing that Haggard Cluster won't hurt her, but it decimates her dogs. I forgot that it crystallized, and seeing my own former Mon sprite just puts a big smile on my face here. In only a couple turns, they are brought down. Like normal, she's completely screwed now. She actually has no alternative damage source other than Dark. Given that, Saint's Knuckle finishes the job easy enough and she can do 0 damage en route. Here we are, 3 for 3. And yet, the amazement doesn't stop. Aegio again stays awake through the Akashic Abyss section. To be fair, the Diaboromon and an Infernmon were obsessed with Venusmon here. Fair play. I would be too if I was in their spot. So in next to no time at all, we get to our local Brunomon. But this time, he comes packing a bit more bite than I'm used to. The offense options never change. Always lightning if there is no reverse in play. But saying that, Tail Swipe obviously one-taps our boy, whose nap was long overdue. Let me preface this. This is easy due to money. Because I could afford to just burn boosters in this fight, I could maintain my max defense. But note, at 20% defense buff, he was still doing about 800 per Tail Swipe, and Biting Crush roughly would have done probably around 2k per hit. And yes, for once I'm actually going to complain about the game. Primarily Venusmon and how overpowered she is here. When she uses Peace Fantasia, she actually removes all of Leviamon's buffs, while lowering his stats. I thought it was only ever just a debuff. Am I missing something here? Gonna have to consult Grindosaur on this one. So needless to say, if he was allowed to buff to 60% to cancel out my defense buffs, I think there is a chance, a bit of bad RNG, Leviamon could potentially bring Plutomon down here. However, that's just a theory and nothing more. Because of Venusmon, still undefeated in this battle. Another joke of a Mon most fights. But watching back the first part of the fight, I think it would be very interesting if Attack and Magic Reflect would bounce back to a random ally on your side of the field, and vice versa. I don't know, just something for Bandai to consider in their future title, even though there's a 99.9% chance no one there will ever see this video. I just needed something to talk about before our boy gets blasted by Purgatorial Flame. Ironically, that's the only move in this fight that can hurt me. Barring glitches. Or is it? Check this out. Divine Atonement is a dark type move, right? No reverse on the field for Plutomon or Lucemon. No. Shocking me here, I find out that it's actually a light-based move. So I take a devastating 4k in damage. With a bad critical and back-to-back activations, KO territory. You would really think I would know these things by now with all these runs. But like I say, these battles are more instinctive than numerical. Sometimes, certain facts slip through the mind's eye. Luckily, it doesn't cost me. But oof, that could have been bad. Not entirely sure I've ever mentioned it, but now's as good a time as ever. I love these defense minigames. I want to see this concept fleshed out in the future. I know they're meant to ease the tension more than anything, maybe even add a little to it, story hype-wise. But they have the potential to create the Digi equivalent of a Fort Condor on a cult popularity scale with some refinement. And yes, before anyone says anything in the comments, I know the outer dungeons kinda do that with the Protect the Digi-meat. But I'm talking refined, with certain tower defense features, like putting your reserve Digimon in the towers to help defend you, or defend with you. I don't know. What do you want from me? I'm no game dev, just a visionary.
More power, please.
Oh, buddy. It is a bad day to be Plutomon. Not even using up one of my attachment slots, I fully negate his Chaos Flare and Death Slinger. His only source of damage in this battle is Vulcanpalm and Ignition Flare, which, to give him some credit, they still do decent damage to me due to his high base attack. After realizing this, his AI decides to take a different approach to combat. Operation Slay the Boy commences, featuring Death Slinger. That's the tally for the run, folks. Coming in at... let editing me figure that out and let you know. I see Plutomon triple up his critical ratio, and I err on the side of safety, putting up my guard. But I didn't have to worry so much. His AI still opts for Death Slinger twice. It's fights like this that make me see the smaller flaws Time Stranger has. With better opponent AI that adapts their move selection to battle with your resistances, it would definitely be something that the devs should work towards enhancing by the next Digimon game. Would be cool and dynamic in a lot of fights. In the end though, Saints Knuckle 3 for the win, baby. It has been a while since we've heard from Hiroko, and this is the last stop for her arc discussion here on the channel. She essentially busts into Simmons' trailer to cheer on Inori and Aegio against the world-ending calamity. And I love the enthusiasm. Truly I do. But I have a question. How in the hell did she find out Simmons had communication with the group? At no point during the story did the two of them ever meet, but somehow she finds the one person on Earth who has access to communications with your squad. Just a minor plot hole to ruin your day, folks. Alright, consider this our seal of approval today from Chronomon. I know, throwing in a seal mid-battle, oh man, I'm just a crazy old guy indeed. This fight is similar to the previous battle with Plutomon. I have full immunity to his signatures, Gift of Darkness and Lamprithus. But Belphemon has even more attack than Plutomon, and he also has Heavy Strike, giving him two powerful single-target moves that I have to contend with. His attacks do add up, so I have to resort back to healing until Marukimon shows up and gives his speech. Chrome Dome wants a love tap, but sadly for him, Plutomon is in the pain business, giving him a meteoric shot to the mug. From here, like usual, he is demotivated, and I don't even think he lands a single attack on me from here. This sweep is complete. 7 for 7. Plutomon shines. Such a good mon.
And it's all thanks to me that we won.
I think I have to give him this one, folks. Fine. You win, Nanimon. For now. And here we are. Chronomon again. Most people would be bored of him after all these runs. Not me, though. Always a level of excitement for me closing out these Solomon endeavors. Let's take one last look at Plutomon and give him the good old metrics check. 5.5k in attack or intelligence. He smashes it with almost 6.1k attack. Not quite as high as Infamon, but still very respectable. His defenses are rather low, unfortunately. falling short of the 3.5k in both spirit and defense. But max HP, so again, I'll give it a pass. To some degree. Give and take of a glass cannon. To be fair, once he became Plutomon, he did gain some defense in exchange for some of his offense. And speed. Yep, he exceeds 3k. So my final analysis. This line is so complex. I can't recommend Gazimon or Dobermon, but I absolutely love Cerberusmon and Plutomon's abilities. Overall though, when it comes to an offense-focused Virusmon, Plutomon is a fantastic go-to mon. Much better than I was expecting when the run began. So who gets today's honors? Honestly, I'd love to talk about Plutomon here, but he got his honors already. I never thought this run would happen so early in the project. So who's the closest mon to Plutomon in this collective then? Guess we're going to give it up to the lady of the land here and his rival Junomon. I would love to give her all the praise of the others, but realistically, her jealousy of Aegio's love for humans and choosing Inori essentially over the digital world that sent the Digi world into a downward descent, I mean, that's on her. However, I can't imagine what it would be like being essentially born into a position of power so great that you're supposed to lead and guide the savior, the great guardian, to rise against the strength of a god. That is pressure I could not handle. So in lieu of everything she puts us through on this journey, she's here in the final conflict when it matters the most, and this one, it goes out to Junomon. Well, it's time. Let's close this chapter. To battle. The barrier breaks and the battle begins alongside Venusmon, Marukimon, and Neptunemon. I immediately take a couple turns to boost up with multis. To my surprise, Hell's Gate is hitting Chronomon for about 3k with only a single attack boost, and that's good to see. I then take his first Confusion unto Despair as the game swaps out my allies. Now, alongside Bacchusmon, Volcanusmon, and Marsmon. Instead of using a spray, I opt to use X-Heal to maintain my attack buff through this phase. In turn, my following Hell's Gate does almost 6,000 damage, and that's wild. So it isn't long before his next Confusion, where Junomon and fellow Plutomon joins the fray. This time I do use a med spray, since I have a couple to spare. And so long as I'm careful, there shouldn't be any issues here. And what really is cool in this section of the fight is that due to my Replicamon here, Chronomon's defense is lowered before my next Hell's Gate attack, and now this does a whopping 10k of damage. What a combo. Any guesses as to what time it is? Chrono Devolution time, baby. And this time, I get to have my montage. All the memories, the pain, the glory, it all comes to fruition right here, right now. Sumamon arrives for the third video in a row and strikes into the god with a glare eye. After that, Gazimon makes a special appearance, dropping in with an electric stun blast. I don't care if I waste 2 turns here. Dobermon gets his moment with Growl Arm. Don't underestimate this move in a team format. And Cerberusmon, the true hero of this run, comes in sporting both Mad Dog Fire and Inferno Divide. I'll let you have both. How's that sound? I watch the mandatory nervy scene. Another run, another tier. This ends now. Let's show him what we can really do. Plutomon and Mervimon get to work, pummeling him with Haggard Cluster Hell's Gate, and Madness Merry-Go-Round Deluxe. The power between them just shatters the god's break gauge. I alternate signatures all the way through this final phase of the fight. And my hubris almost gets the better of me one final time here, but it doesn't. Haggard Cluster doesn't have enough in the tank to end the fight. But me and Plutomon's bond shines through the veil, one final time, as 2 more extra strikes kick in, and it is done. Chronomon is defeated. This run was everything that I wanted. I was seeking a challenge, and I got it. I wanted a second Virus Mega to compare Beelstarmon to, and I got it. I wanted something memorable, and yes, I got that. I am more than satisfied with this, even being a blind run. And now, on to the final results. And in an incredible twist of fate, the Plutomon line is going to be taking the fastest time crown from Metal Garurumon today. Despite the 1 hour and 40 minute setup time, the final time is 15 hours and 9 minutes. So adjusted, the official time on the record is 13 hours and 29 minutes. What an upset. Plutomon ends the game with only 2 Digi defeats, with a cumulative level of 120. Gazimon at level 12, Dobermon at level 18, Cerberusmon at level 40, and Plutomon at level 50. I mean, I don't know what more I could have done to prevent the KOs. That is what the boss breakdown will get more into when the episode rolls around. I feel as if it's near impossible to get a 0 KO run out of this line due to how the early game works, but I don't know. It could happen. And so, we move on to the rankings. Starting in the rookie tier with Gazimon. Honestly, if not for the game's structure, he would be really good. Mobs were minced using him, but bosses really gave him the business, alongside the struggle to Digivolve. I don't think he was actually worse than Caramon, so he'll be behind Gotsumon for now in the B tier. Champion tier with Dobermon. I think Dobermon is great in his specific role, which would be neutralizing enemy teams and dealing good attack damage. And even with good typing being Vaccine, he's not as good at a Solomon in his neck of the game. I'm still putting him ahead of Starmon, but our loyal mutt is going to end up in the C tier just because of the format. This is where it gets really spicy. Ultimate tier. And to be honest, this time record is broken almost exclusively on the shoulders of Cerberusmon. His utility is incredible, so it shouldn't come as any surprise to anyone who watched, but he is taking our number 1 spot in the S tier, surpassing and outshining even Garurumon. And the Mon of the Hour, Plutomon. While Wargreymon did overall feel better to use in the late game than Plutomon's raw natural resistance, immunity to dark, carried him through what would normally be some of the toughest fights in the game in these runs. Oh god, I can't decide right now. I gotta reevaluate both lines. Here's what I'm gonna do. He will be second to Wargreymon in the S tier. For now. And no, this is not due to favoritism. This will be reevaluated in the very near future, so this will be good for the moment. On that note, I like to end these videos with a little update to the behind the scenes going-ons for both transparency's sake and to keep my goals for the NCLDOD project on the record. A self-reminder while keeping my viewers in the loop of future updates. So, first off, June 5th. I will be releasing the boss breakdown for the Plutomon line. If you watch the video, you should have a very good inkling of who will be making their presence known on this run. Then, on June 10th, will be the first edition of the Royal Knight Hunt, introducing the format and the rules alongside the specialized UI and title cards for the hunt. Those who have kept up with my YouTube community posts would have already seen me work out the kinks of the Royal Knight Hunt at the end of my Beal Starmon run. Once again, she was the guinea pig for the hunt. But it was fitting as she was my very first Mon to complete this format and trial. So, I had to. And then, as a special bonus, on June 13th, I am going to be doing more comprehensive breakdowns of these runs, and just do some re-ranking and re-evaluations, as I mentioned above. This will give me a chance to more thoroughly decide if I made the right calls since the beginning of this project, and give you a more updated, one-stop shop definitive Mon list up to this stage of the project. 6 months in, and the vision is slowly but surely coming together. I am extremely happy with where this project is. 7 months ago, this was all a pipe dream for me. I spent years watching YouTubers like Scott's Thoughts for Poke rankings and compendiums. I spent years watching J Rose struggle through Pokemon runs off of instinct. And I wanted to embody the same kind of demeanor or feeling in the franchise that I love, ironically their rival, Digimon. When I said Time Stranger rekindled my youth love for the franchise, that was no embellishment. I once was lost, but now I'm found. And as the saying goes, once a DigiKid, always a DigiKid. Final note this month. The wife decided to scale back on her drawing a little bit this time. She does have a lot of love for dogs, and when I told her about this line, she was immediately taken by Doberman. So, here it is, her small contribution to the project this week.
Going forward, they're to be referred to as digital monsters, or Digimon for short.
And that wraps up this month's NCLDOD Solo Partner Run. That's 5 down with 31 to go. Taking the additional time to shore up this video was a good choice, as I feel much less pressure against my own brain, setting deadlines and, stuff like that for myself. I feel much more accustomed to the cycle of video production now, and I have a much deeper sense of the time required to put these runs out. Given what I have to work with, I am surprised that I've even come this far with the project. But that is it for me, folks. A special thanks goes out to Garrett French 5574 on YouTube for the suggestion of this run. It was a blast. And that's it. See you all in a few days with the boss breakdown. Destined Digiman, Ryudo Reaver, signing out. And I will see you all on the horizon.
Hey Digimon, monster friends to the boys and girls. Hey Digimon, champions of the digital world. Hey Digimon, ultimate friends to the boys and girls. Hey Digimon.